Hi, everybody. Thank you all for joining today's webinar. First of all, I want to know whether I'm audible. So, in the chat box, can you just let me know, give me a yes or a no if you can hear me? Okay, awesome. I'm getting a lot of yes. All right. I just want to check, Bimalji, have you joined the session? Bimalji, are you in the session? Are you able to hear me?
Working.
Okay, so we have Bimal ji here. Before I give you introduction and I welcome you to the webinar, I want to know if we can hear Bimal ji as well. Bimal ji, could you please turn on your video and audio so that we can check the audio and video connectivity now?
Yeah, Hasini, good afternoon. Good afternoon to all of you. It is
Yes, Bimal ji. Okay.
going fine.
Yeah, so we in the chat, yeah, chat, we can see. Can you all hear Bimal ji? Can you give us? Yes, okay, awesome. All right. So thank you, Bimalji. So first of all, thank you everybody for joining this webinar today. And we are really, really happy to have you on board out of your busy schedule. It's also a weekday. You've taken the time out to join the webinar for us. And we are very happy to have you on board. And today's topic is going to be on how to determine the place of supply in GST. And as you all would already know, we have CA Bimal Jain with us to walk you through the complete webinar and also to give you more insights on it. I am pretty sure most of you might be knowing him, but I would like to give a brief intro of Bimalji for you. Probably you would want to know more about him, or for people who have joined just recently. This is their first webinar. Then for them, I would just like to give you a brief intro. So Bimal Jain is a member of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India since May 1994 and member of Institute of Company Secretaries of India since December 2006, along with a bachelor's degree in law. Also, he is a qualified SAP, financial accounting and control consultant, and has more than 21 years of experience in indirect taxation and specializes in all aspects of GST, service tax, VAT, CST, central excise, customs, FTP, SEZ, EOU, and export import laws. He has working experience of more than 18 years in renowned companies like LG Electronics, Honda Motorcycle, Hindustan Development Corporation, Hythen and Company, and presently he is the executive director of A to Z Tax Corp LLP, a boutique indirect tax firm. He also has hands-on experience in providing opinion and advisory services, carrying out diagnostic review of business operations, process reviews, structuring of business model, undertaking litigation services at all appropriate forum, including CESTAT and a representation before the TRU, CBEC, DGFT, etc. And in addition to that, CA Bimal Jain has also received a lot of awards and recognitions. He has been the keynote speaker at Guinness World Record made by ICSI in largest taxation lesson on GST, attended by 4,500 plus participants, breaking earlier record of Japan. Business Leader Award from Amity School, Noida. Business Speaker Award from NIRC ICAI, ICWAI. Young Achievers Award at Igniting Minds 2015. Best Participant Award in MSOP 117th batch by ICSI. And over to you, Bimalji, to take the session forward. And before that, let's use the chat option only to interact with Bimalji. So throughout the session, he's going to keep you all active and interact with you. For all the interactions, please use the chat box. And if you have any particular question that you want us to pick up at the end of the webinar, which you would like Bimalji to answer, then such questions can be posted in the question section. Let's avoid posting it in the chat because we get a lot of chats and we kind of miss out on a lot of questions as well. So let's stick to this this platform, and where we are having chat for connectivity issues and for interacting with Bimalji. And if you want questions, you can post it in the questions tab. Over to you, Bimalji.
Thank you, Hasini, for a nice introduction and starting off today's webinar with Zoho Books. Thanking each of the participants who are taking out time and joining today. And rest assured, today's topic is also very, very important, and I will make it interesting. I will make it interactive also. And this interactive part will come only when all of us start, interacting together. So from my side, I'm going to make presentation. From your side, you have to really reply in a chat box. Whenever I'm posting any query, then write your answer, whatever you have in your mind. With your interaction, yes, it is going to be interesting and important one. So without taking much time, let's start. Today we are going to discuss on place of supply. Why place of supply is important in GST? What is the relevance of place of supply? And what happened if wrongly determined place of supply, any implication? We will check out the challenges, issues, and solution when we are discussing place of supply. So I will just make this interesting topic in such a way that you all can digest that what is the relevance of place of supply in GST regime. Let me start with the very first question before I start deliberating on the topic. My first question is, whether place of supply is really relevant for taking GST registration? Say yes and no in a chat box. So a lot of yes, lot of no. See, all the answers are coming in. So I really appreciate each one of you that you are writing the answer which is coming to your mind. And listen very carefully. Listen very carefully. Okay, today I promise I will give my mobile number to each one of you. Let's take a piece of paper, pen and pencil. Start, picking up my pointers. Draw down your notes today and send me through WhatsApp. Let me see who is doing this religious work and really participating today. It's a little different today. My question was whether place of supply is really relevant for taking GST registration. My answer is big no. Big no. So those who have given the answer as a no, they are right. But those who have given the answer as yes, they have to correct themselves today. Let's take an example. I'm a supplier of goods in Delhi. I'm supplying goods from Delhi to Tamil Nadu. So question was, do I require to take registration in Delhi, which is origin state? Or I do require to take registration in Tamil Nadu, where goods are being dispatched, destination state, and may be assumed that it is going to be consumed in Tamil Nadu. That was my question, right? So I posted a query whether place of supply is really relevant for taking GST registration. So you must have understood I need to take registration in the origin state where from I'm supplying goods or services. Where from I'm supplying goods and services. So origin state, I need to take registration. Next question which is coming to me. So what happened? In GST regime, there are two components. We understand central GST and state GST. And when we levy IGST, because from Delhi to Tamil Nadu, I'm going to levy IGST. And even IGST consists of sum total of CGST and SGST. And we all know in GST regime. And before I say next question to all of you, which state will get the SGST component? Is the origin state or destination state? If it is origin, it is Delhi. If it is destination, it is Tamil Nadu. Please tell me which state, which state. So now each one of you started answering also. Very well done. So in GST regime, it's a consuming state that will get the GST component. So look at the change which has come in GST regime. You need to take registration in the origin state. And Delhi will not get anything. Delhi will not get anything. Which state will get? Tamil Nadu, being consuming state. So this is the departure. We have seen in pre-GST era that manufacturing state was getting the component, VAT component. Even CST component was accruing to the origin state. All departure. So first silver lining, and which you must keep to your mind. In GST regime, you have to take registration in the origin state. Where from you are supplying goods or supplying services. But origin state will not get GST component. Which state will get? Consuming state, Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu will get this GST component. Hope I'm clear to all of you. Say yes in a chat box that this part is very, very clear. So that no doubt, nothing exists, because when we started, okay, lot of yes. Now let's move further. Now, why then place of supply? Why then place of supply? Only to determine which is the consuming state. What is the relevance of POS? To determine which is the state is the consuming state. That is the region they have said place of supply. So relevance of place of supply is there only to determine where ultimately goods or services are being consumed, because that state will get the GST component, right? But to determine place of supply, there has to be rules, there has to be provision. So what happened? They have given the provision. If transaction is within the country, within India, supplier, let's say I'm supplier for you in Delhi, and you all are my buyer, recipient in Tamil Nadu. If I'm a supplier of goods and you're buyer of my goods in India, then place of supply provision, you have to go back to section 10 of IGST Act. So to determine place of supply, you have to go section 10 for goods. And what about services? If we have to determine place of supply, when supplier and recipient of services is within India, and you have to identify the consuming state. Which section is going to be applicable? Section 12 of IGST Act. IGST Act. Now I'm giving one silver lining to you. Silver lining. And I'm sure you must be knowing the answer also. If I'm a registered supplier of goods in Delhi, supplying goods to you in Tamil Nadu, transaction is a intrastate or interstate? Please tell me in the chat box. Transaction is a intrastate or interstate? Please tell me. I'm looking for the answer. So answer is interstate. IGST liable. You all are right. You all are right. So I'm giving you another silver lining principle, and you have to keep to your mind. You have to register it in your mind. Sometime I get a question from my participants, sir, how to keep everything in a mind. There are certain, certain pointers which I'm telling you, you have to just register to your mind, and you should not ask any query on that. When you really prepare yourself, keep those fundamental to your mind. Maybe after some time you will get convinced why this provision existing. So for intrastate supply, what is important? Location of supplier and place of supply. To determine intra and inter, two factor we have to look into. Two factor. Location of supplier and place of supply. If it is within same state, transaction would be intrastate. What is applicable? CGST and SGST. If location of supplier and place of supply is in two different states or in two different union territories, then what happened? Transaction is going to be interstate. Interstate. Am I clear to all of you? So to determine place of supply when it is intrastate, you have to check the provision of section 8 of IGST Act. To determine transaction is interstate supply, you have to go back to section 7 of IGST Act. So whenever we talk about import of goods or services, by default, it is considered as interstate supply. By default, it is considered as interstate supply, though exports are zero-rated supply. So import of goods. Let's take an example. Next question to all of you. I said import of goods or import of services. By default, it is interstate supply. So when you are importing goods, you will pay basic custom duty, right? So if GST to be levied, by default, IGST going to be levied because it is interstate supply. Am I clear to all? Say yes in a chat box. Say yes in the chat box that this part is clear. This part is clear. Perfect. So everyone is aligned with me now. So again, quick recap. For determining intrastate, you need to really check section 8 of IGST Act. To determine interstate, you need to check section 7 of IGST Act. And place of supply, what is place of supply? For that, section 10 is relevant for goods. Section 12 is relevant for services, for domestic transaction, within India transaction. For import and export of goods, section 11 of IGST Act. And for import and export of services, Section 13 of IGST Act. Hope I'm clear to all of you. Hope I'm clear to all of you. So Rajiv Sharma is saying, I will give Nikhil Agarwal, I will give the example. Don't worry, I will give. Okay, quickly, maybe within 1 minute once again. Location of supplier and place of supply within same state. Transaction is intrastate. CGST and SGST liable. Location of supplier and place of supply is in two different states or two different union territories. IGST liable, right? So when I gave the example that Bimal Jain, supplier of goods in Delhi, he will take registration in Delhi because he's supplying goods from Delhi. But place of supply would be Tamil Nadu because goods are destined to Tamil Nadu and assumed it is going to be consumed in Tamil Nadu. So it is in two different states. That's the reason it is called interstate supply. Hope I'm clear to all of you. Now let me proceed further. Let me proceed further. What about selling DTA by SEZ? Piyush, quite clear. I told you when SEZ is supplying in DTA, SEZ is being considered outside India for all taxation purpose. And that would be import of goods, if it is goods, or import of services. Piyush, hope I'm clear. Let's move further now. My transaction was IGST liable. Delhi to Tamil Nadu. Delhi to Tamil Nadu. But let's say supplier has made the mistake. Supplier has wrongly shown as a CGST and Delhi SGST. Sometimes we make mistake. For number of region we make mistake. And I will discuss this transaction little later. Okay, just pause here. Just pause here. This question I will touch in subsequent example. So I've discussed this part with you. Now let's go with the place of supply for goods. In place of supply for goods, Section 10 of IGST Act is important to determine place of supply. Am I right? Let's say I'm registered supplier and you all are my registered buyer recipient in Tamil Nadu. Clear? It is B2B transaction, registered supplier to registered recipient. And I'm giving you two examples. Transaction is FOR destination. FOR destination means you are purchasing goods from supplier in Delhi and you wanted your supplier to deliver the goods to your premises in Tamil Nadu. FOR destination. Please tell me this transaction would be intra or inter. Please tell me in a chat box, intra or inter. Inter. Simple. Everyone is writing correct answer. I agree with all of you. Everyone is writing. Location of supplier Delhi and place of supply is Tamil Nadu. Am I clear? Now I'm giving you googly. Googly means now the challenge start. This transaction was ex-works. Ex-works means you as a buyer, registered buyer, coming from Tamil Nadu to Delhi. And you are purchasing goods from registered suppliers factory in Delhi. So I'm handing over the goods to you at my factory gate at Delhi. So I'm handing over the goods to all of you, to my buyer of Tamil Nadu, at my factory gate, at Delhi. Now please tell me, transaction is a intrastate or interstate, keeping in mind location of supplier, which is Delhi. Now we need to determine place of supply, right? So I'm handing over the goods to all of you at my factory gate at Delhi. Transaction is intrastate or interstate. Please tell me once again. So a lot of you are answering, and there's a mixed answer in a chat box. You can see the chat box. It is live. A lot of you are saying it is intrastate, CGST, and daily SGST liable. And what is the confusion in their mind? Confusion in their mind is, since supplier has handed over the goods to the buyer at factory gate at Delhi, so place of supply is Delhi. That's the region their perception is this transaction is an intrastate supply. Let me tell you, this transaction is interstate supply. IGST should have been levied. IGST should have been levied. And why IGST liable? There are three region. Region number 1, Section 10, Subsection 1, Clause A of IGST Act, which says where supply involves movement of goods. Yes, supply is involving movement of goods, either by supplier, which was FOR destination cell. In that case, supplier was arranging transportation from Delhi to Chennai to Tamil Nadu. So supply involves movement of goods, or by recipient. So when you are coming Delhi, purchasing goods from me at Delhi, and then these goods are being taken at Delhi, and then transportation is being arranged by the buyer of Tamil Nadu from Delhi to Tamil Nadu. So supply involves movement of goods by recipient or by any other person. That is what Section 10, Subsection 1, Clause A says. Where supply involves movement of goods either by supplier, which can be a FOR destination transaction, or by recipient, which is ex-works transaction, or by any other person. Place of supply would be where delivery terminates. So delivery is going to terminate at Chennai, Tamil Nadu. So even though recipient, buyer of Tamil Nadu, picking the goods at factory gate, but he would be arranging transportation from Delhi to Tamil Nadu. And delivery terminates in Tamil Nadu. Transaction is IGST liable. And second argument, if let's say supplier charge CGST and Delhi SGST, let's assume those who have given the answer is an intrastate supply. So supplier is charging CGST and Delhi SGST. Will this credit going to be reflected in your GSTR 2A or 2B of your Tamil Nadu registration? Please tell me. Your Tamil Nadu registration, will you see the CGST and Delhi SGST? No. It is going to be reflected only when it is IGST. That is the theme. Second argument. Third argument. So someone is saying it is reflecting but ineligible. For the region, place of supply mentioned as a Delhi, they will not give you the credit. Somebody said, yes, reflecting, but it is ineligible because place of supply is not Tamil Nadu. And you're having Tamil Nadu registration. So this credit is not available to you. Third argument. Even though you're picking the goods from Delhi, my factory gate, eBay bill need to be generated. Who will generate the eBay bill? Who causes the movement of goods? In ex-works transaction, who is causing movement of goods? Please tell me. In ex-works transaction, buyer is causing movement of goods, right? So buyer will generate the eBay bill, right? Because value is more than 50,000 rupees. When you're generating eBay bill, you will say Delhi to Tamil Nadu, then quite obvious it is an interstate supply. So CGST and Delhi SGST can't be levied. And fourth argument, one nation, one tax, one market. Bimal Jain taking registration in Delhi can supply goods pan-India from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. And he need not require to take registration in any other state. And he can supply goods to all over India, including Delhi. And credit would be available to the buyer, to the recipient. And that is the real meaning of one nation, one tax, one market. So hope I'm clear to my this analysis. Please tell me in a chat box that you all got clarified. Say yes in a chat box. You got clarified. Say yes. Okay. Now somebody is asking if buyer is in Delhi. So let's say instead of Tamil Nadu, if buyer is in Delhi, then transaction would be intra or inter, because this Bharat Modi is now saying that if buyer use goods in Delhi, I will tell you, Bharat, listen very carefully. First, go as per me. If listen now carefully. Listen carefully now. Second component, then I will come back. Second component. There may be a case. There may be a case that for you, for Tamil Nadu buyer, ultimately he has some customer in Delhi. Let's assume. So Bimal Jain registered in Delhi. He is raising invoice to Tamil Nadu tea buyer, but ultimately this tea has to sell the goods to customer in Delhi. Let's assume. So there are three party involved. Bill to SIP 2. Bill to SIP 2. Now this transaction, Bimal can send the goods to Tamil Nadu, or buyer can take goods from Delhi to Tamil Nadu. Then from Tamil Nadu to Delhi he can supply, right? Possible. Or other way around, it can be bill to SIP 2. I'm raising bill to my Tamil Nadu customer, charging goods are not going to Tamil Nadu, but goods are remain within the state of Delhi and ultimately delivered to the customer of Tamil Nadu buyer. So what would be the transaction now? 10(1)(b) of IGST Act going to be important. 10(1)(b) of IGST Act going to be important. And listen very carefully, very carefully. In such transaction, for Tamil Nadu buyer, there are two invoices going to be raised. And listen very carefully because this is very important. Bimal supplier in Delhi going to raise the invoice to Tamil Nadu buyer, one transaction. And second transaction, Tamil Nadu buyer going to raise the invoice to ultimate customer in Delhi. And goods are not going out of the state of Delhi. It remain within the state of Delhi. You instructed me, Tamil Nadu buyer instructed me, Bimalji, instead of sending to Tamil Nadu, kindly send to this customer at some other place within the state of Delhi, right? So what would be the place of supply? So first transaction, Bimal Jain to Tamil Nadu buyer. Location of supplier, Bimal Jain. And place of supply as per 10(1)(b) of IGST Act would be Tamil Nadu buyer's place of business. Tamil Nadu buyer's place of business. This is Tamil Nadu. I will levy IGST, and of which you will get the credit, in your Tamil Nadu registration. And when you are raising invoice from Tamil Nadu to ultimate customer in Delhi, so location of supplier Tamil Nadu, and then place of supply where ultimately goods are being delivered, which is Delhi. So transaction be again interstate, second transaction from Tamil Nadu to ultimate customer Delhi. IGST going to be levied. And look at the beauty of this transaction. I told you consuming state will get the SGST component, right? I told you, right? How it is happening? When I'm charging the IGST from Delhi supplier to Tamil Nadu customer, it is going to Delhi Tamil Nadu customer in their registration. They are availing credit. But ultimately, these goods are remaining within the state of Delhi for ultimate consumption by the customer in Delhi. So again, you are charging IGST back. So IGST credit taken by you, Tamil Nadu buyer, utilized for the IGST liability. Ultimately, this IGST is flowing back to the state of Delhi. So SGST component of this IGST going to accrue to the state of Delhi on the basis of destination based consumption tax. Please tell me, am I clear to all of you? Please tell me, am I clear to all of you? So if this concept is clear, then I'm sure you must have understood very well. So everyone is saying yes. So very, very good, very good. Now listen, now listen very carefully. Listen very carefully. I will let you know. Second part of the component. Listen very carefully. I'm not discussing service at the moment, Mr. Santi Venkatraman. Kindly allow me to go as per the example which I'm giving it to you. Okay. Now listen very carefully. This was for transaction B2B. Now there may be a transaction of B2C. I'm registered. Supplier is registered. I'm a sari supplier. I got a shop at Chandni Chowk, registered in Delhi. Good designer sarees. And you all are my buyer, but not registered. Coming from all the way from Tamil Nadu to Delhi at my sari shop and purchasing good designer sarees. Let's say you purchase 4 designer sarees or 5 designer sarees worth 10 lakh rupees. Worth 10 lakh rupees. Transaction is B2C. Registered supplier, but my customer is not registered. My customer is not registered. B2C. You're coming all the way from Tamil Nadu. Please tell me transaction would be intrastate or interstate. Tell me intrastate or interstate. So lot of example in a chat box. So you all can verify. I'm not saying anything. Our audience is mixed. Lot of you are saying intrastate. Lot of you are saying interstate. Listen very carefully. If it is intrastate, CGST and Delhi SGST, then Delhi government, Arvind Kejriwal ji will get the SGST component, right? But ultimately, these goods are going to Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu must get the SGST component being consuming state, destination based consumption tax. Am I right? Am I right? But if I'm leaving CGST and Delhi SGST and place of supply mentioned as Delhi, then Tamil Nadu will not get anything. Will not get anything. So whether any provision in the GST law to capture such counter sell or B2C transaction, let me tell you today, it's an eye opener for all of you today. I can tell you, eye opener. B2C transaction, counter sell. There is rule 46 rule E of CGST rules 2017. It clearly saying, Bimal, whenever taxable value is more than 50,000, taxable value is more than 50,000, you need to capture as a supplier, you need to capture name and address of the recipient, delivery address, state name and code. So there's a responsibility as per rule 46 sub rule E on supplier Whenever he's raising invoice for B2C, he will capture name and address of the recipient, address for delivery, and state name and his code. So if I'm capturing your name and address of Tamil Nadu, your delivery address of Tamil Nadu, because you will say you will carry these items to Tamil Nadu, and mentioning a state name Tamil Nadu, state code as Tamil Nadu, which is obligation on me, supplier, to make a mention of it, to make a mention of it. Then transaction is interstate. IGST liable. So they have principally agreed that less than 50,000, no problem. Whether you treat intra or inter will not make any difference, will not make any difference. But wherever taxable value is more than 50,000, it is responsibility on supplier to capture these information. First part, interstate. Second part, if value, taxable value is more than 50,000 because you purchase 5 sarees, 10 lakh rupees, new sarees, it's a B2C transaction. As per provision, eBay will need to be generated. So eBay bill, who will generate eBay bill? Here supplier going to raise the eBay bill. And he will make a mention daily to Tamil Nadu so that you will not get any problem during this taking these saris either along with you or through a transportation mode. You will mention daily to Tamil Nadu for eBay bill, interstate, because more than 50,000. So IGST going to be levied. But Pan India, what is practice going on? Pan India practice is going on. Counter sell is blindly being considered as an intrastate. CGST and state SGST, state Delhi SGST, blindly. But let me tell you, the state has principally agreed that for less than 50,000, there will not be any problem. But for more than 50,000, we have to follow this principle. We have to really follow this principle, which is as per Rule 46 of Rule E. And just imagine a situation. If some department fellow catch hold of this transaction, which is charge CGST and Delhi SGST, invoice is of 10 lakh rupees, and he's carrying to the Tamil Nadu. So what is the implication? You have to listen very carefully. So I'm sure. First, you tell me, have you understood what I said for counter sell and B2C? First, you tell me this part that you understood it. You say yes, at least that you understood it. Whether followed or not followed, the secondary part. But this is what the provision adjourned did. So my lot of friends are now saying, yes, we are understanding what you said. So very well done. Very well done. Okay. Okay. All right. If it is less than Harshit Jain is saying if it is less than 50,000, no problem, dear. I said when taxable value is more than 50,000. Okay, all right. So I've done this part. So eye opener. Now, just imagine one question. In this transaction, it was IGST leviable, right? In this transaction, IGST leviable. But let's say wrongly I've charged CGST and Delhi SGST. I've charged CGST and Delhi SGST and paid to the government exchequer also. But transaction is IGST leviable. Will there be any implication? Will there be any implication? Answer H, yes, there would be implication. If any audit comes up, there's no question of Jatin, there's no question of ITC in B2C transaction. There's no question of ITC in B2C transaction. There would be implication. And in such cases, what happened? Department going to ask supplier, no, you pay IGST. And supplier will say, sir, I have paid CGST and Delhi SGST. Then there's a provision. First, note down the provision. Section 77 of CGST Act, read with Section 19 of IGST Act. It clearly says when you wrongly determine place of supply, you should have charged IGST, but you charge CGST and daily SGST, then department can demand payment of IGST. And what happened for that CGST and daily SGST, which you have deposited? You can go for refund. So there are two questions now in front of you. And I'm going to tell you the good circular number 162, dated 25th of September 2021. Listen very carefully. Now, when government audit comes up, department comes to know, and they want you to deposit IGST. So let's say transaction was done sometime, let's say 30th August 2019. Assume that I did this transaction on 30th August 2019, wrongly charged CGST and daily SGST. Now on 30th August 2022, this department was catch hold. This transaction was catch hold by the department after 3 years. So they will ask for deposit of IGST. So there are 3 years period gap. Will there be any interest on this payment of IGST? Say yes and no in a chat box. Will there be any interest on this payment of IGST? No interest. No interest. Very good. Now for claiming refund, I will pay IGST. Let's assume I will pay IGST. But I will go for refund of CGST and daily SGST, which I deposited, right? And which I deposited in August 2019. Will there be 2 years limitation as per section 54 refund under GST regime? Will there be limitation of 2 years? Say yes and no. Will there be limitation of 2 years? So lot of yes, lot of no limit, and answer H. It is 2 years from the date of payment of IGST. So when I'm paying the correct tax, IGST, from that date, my 2 years limitation will start, Rule 89, and that is being notified. So you can go back and check this provision. This provision got inserted 2 years from the date of payment of IGST, which is 30th September 2022. So once you pay the correct tax, then 2 years time period for you. So that is what the total transaction, when wrong determination, you should pay correct tax, no interest, and refund will start 2 years limitation only when you pay the correct tax. Hope I'm clear to all of you. Please tell me in a chat box that you all got clarified. Say yes in a chat box that it's got clarified. Perfect. Very well done. Now coming to the services. Importantly services. You have to keep thumb rule in mind, location of supplier and place of supply. Same concept, right? Let's say I'm a chartered accountant registered in Delhi, and you all are my client, Tamil Nadu client. I'm giving one opinion to you, written opinion, and then I need to raise the invoice. Transaction would be intra or inter? Please tell me, intra or inter? Please tell me. Interstate, am I right? Interstate. I will charge IGST. Very well done. So all the audience is so perfect today. So Devinder Singer is saying, sir, please repeat the question. Time is a pause. Listen very carefully. I'm a chartered accountant registered in Delhi. I'm giving legal opinion to a client registered in Tamil Nadu, going to raise the invoice. I ask whether this transaction would be intra or inter. It is IGST, interstate. And same concept, location of supplier Delhi, place of supply, location of recipient. Where from you will come to know place of supply? Section 12. Section 12 has specified the transaction. They have said default rule, when some specific rule is not applicable, then default rule applicable, and as per default rule, place of supply is location of recipient. Location of recipient. That's the reason this transaction was interstate. And even though it is B2C transaction, let's say you're not registered in Tamil Nadu, you're not registered in Tamil Nadu. You're coming and taking opinion. I'm giving you the opinion. So please tell me, transaction would be intra or inter? Please tell me again. So again, I'm asking you, interstate. If address of recipient exists in my books of accounts, if address of recipient exists in my books of account, then location of recipient. If address of recipient is not available, then place of supply would be location of supplier. Then transaction would be intrastate. So I hope I'm clear. So everyone is now very much clear about it. Okay, perfect. So there's some Bankat Saket. Does registration? He's still asking the same question which I responded. Does registration have anything to relate with the POS provision? Might be Saket, you joined late. I said registration has got nothing to do with the POS provision. I said very clearly with my example in the beginning. So I'm clear to all of you. But now let me complicate. Let me complicate. As a Tamil Nadu client, now you're coming to my Delhi office. Listen very carefully. As a Tamil Nadu client, you're coming to my Delhi office, sitting in my office in Delhi, taking verbal opinion, no written opinion, verbal opinion. And you are making payment to me at my Delhi office only. Please tell me, transaction would be intra or inter? And I'm sure you will not be making anything. So a lot of you are still making a mistake. A lot of you are still making mistake. A lot of you are saying intra. No, no, no. Don't fail me. Don't fail me. My only submission, don't fail me. I told you that in case of B2B supply, place of supply will always be location of recipient, irrespective of fact you're coming to my daily office or I'm sending opinion to the Tamil Nadu place. It will always be interstate, IGST. So why you are getting confused? Please tell me in a chat box. Now it is clear. Say yes. Those who made the mistake, say yes. At least come back and say yes, you got it clarified. Okay, all right. Very well done. Now, so Harinder is saying, please repeat your question. Please understand, please try to understand. I said if you are unregistered or registered, we have to look at default rule, and default rule says POS for services is location of recipient for B2B. For B2C, if address is available with the supplier of service, then location of recipient, again interstate. If address is not available in case of B2C, then only location of supplier. That is what I said in my discussion. Let's move further. Now, one good example where complication going pan-India. Complication is going pan-India. Renting of immovable property. Pan-India problem is going on, right? And here I want your attention, and you would be listening very carefully, very carefully. Let's say, and in this example, listen very, very carefully. I'm a landlord. In Delhi. I'm a landlord in Delhi. Let's assume I'm a landlord in Delhi. And I got 4 immovable property one in Tamil Nadu, one in Karnataka, one in Kerala, and one in Odisha, in 4 different states. I got 4 immovable property, commercial property. Let's assume commercial property. I'm not complicating, I'm making it very clear. Commercial property chargeable to GST. There's nothing like RCM, nothing like, that provision does not exist. So just listen very carefully. Just listen very carefully. So I said I got 4 immovable property, commercial property in 4 different states, but landlord is in Delhi. His place of business is in Delhi. My first question, do I require to take registration in 4 different states where my property is located? Please tell me yes and no. So lot of yes and lot of no. Listen very carefully. As per me, I need not require to take separate registration where my immovable property is located. When I'm not taking registration in that respective state where immovable property is located, at most, if any input services taken pertaining to such immovable property, credit will not be available. So I need not require to take registration, but any ITC pertaining to input services related to those property in respective state, I may not get credit. So first, this is the answer which I gave to you. So am I clear? First say in the chat box that this part is very clear, sir. No need of registration, but there would be ITC loss. There would be ITC loss. Please say yes in a chat box so that I get clarity. Okay. So maximum of you are saying yes. So I agree you understood it. Where from I say this proposition? Where from I say this proposition? I said this proposition from location of supplier of service as per section 2, subsection 15 of IGST Act. And what is the location of supplier of service? Principal place of business where I've taken the registration, or fixed establishment. Fixed establishment is characterized by sufficient degree of permanence of human and technical resources, or establishment most directly concerned, which is immovable property, or usual place of residence. In that sequential order, that is called location of supplier of service. And that's the reason I said I need not require to take separate registration. If I need to take 4 separate registration, then my compliances will go up. I can take my own business call. I will not take 4 separate registration in 4 different states. I can continue to register in Delhi and provide the services. So let's take this discussion further. If I'm letting out these property, let's say Tamil Nadu property to Tamil Nadu customer, and he is also registered. So please tell me property is located in Tamil Nadu, let out to a Tamil Nadu tenant registered in Tamil Nadu. It's a commercial property which I'm referring to. Commercial property, don't confuse with the residential one. Commercial property. It's a forward charge method. Transaction would be intra or inter. Please tell me intra or inter. Interstate, because POS, location of immovable property. Interstate, IGST. Okay. So Indrajit, you are the only person made the mistake. Indrajit, it is not correct. Please, interstate, location of supplier. Now he's saying sorry. Indrajit, nahi chalega. You people are known to me. And if you make mistake, I will notice that one. So it is highly advisable that you should capture my voice and give the answer correctly. Some of the guys are known to me because they're so frequent, so familiar, always in my webinar. So I really love them also. So if they make mistake, then sorry. Okay. Satya is also saying me, not an issue. So interstate, all right. Now listen, problem. Recently from 18 July 2022, there's a change for renting of immovable property, right? And now I'm going to do interplay. Interplay means I will take a three component for our discussion. I will discuss registration, which I discussed just a while ago. I will discuss place of supply, and I will discuss ITC, input tax credit also. Listen very carefully. And here I require your attention, dedicated attention. From 18 July 2022, the change that renting of residential property to registered person is under reverse charge, even though used as a residence. So what is exempted? Renting of residential property used as a residence to unregistered person. Unregistered person. That was exempted and continue to be exempted, right? So what is RCM applicable? From 18 July 2022, RCM is applicable when landlord is letting out his residential property to registered person. Who is registered under GST? RCM means tenant. Registered tenant has to pay GST liability. Am I clear to all of you? This part is clear? So at least say yes, so that my task would be little easy, that you're understanding the point. Okay, yes, okay. Very well done, very well done. Okay, listen now. I'm changing the example now. Landlord is in Delhi, and let's say property is also located in Delhi. It's a residential property located in Delhi. I'm letting out to you to company registered in Tamil Nadu, and they have taken this property for staying of the employee concerned in Delhi. So landlord is in Delhi, residential property is in Delhi, right? It is being let out to a registered person in Tamil Nadu. RCM applicable, right? RCM need to be paid. Reverse charge method need to be paid by tenant, registered tenant. Am I clear to all of you? Now, being a Tamil Nadu registered, you need to pay. Transaction is what? Intrastate or interstate? First, you tell me intrastate or interstate. It's an intrastate or interstate. So those who are giving answer as a inter, please wake up call. If they are doing GST practice, then they must wake up. Location of supplier, landlord, right? I need not require to be registered because RCM liability. And place of supply, location of immovable property, which is Delhi. So transaction is intra or inter? Please tell me. Intra or inter? It is intra. CGST and Delhi SGST liable. Now I'm getting a right answer. So you should all apply, because I know my audience is also having learned person, learned GST expert, intrastate. But question number one to all of you, you're registered in Tamil Nadu, right? How you will pay Delhi SGST from your Tamil Nadu registration? Is there any mechanism? Tamil Nadu registered can pay Delhi SGST. Is it possible? Please tell me whether you can pay leave ITC. Leave ITC. You can't pay. You can't pay. So there are two options available. Two options available. This government is complicating so many things. Two options available. Option number one, you come and take registration in Delhi Just because you have taken this residential property, take registration in Delhi and then you pay this liability, CGST and Delhi SGST. Am I right? So after taking this credit, if you take registration in Delhi, you will get the credit, no problem, because you are using in the course of furtherance of business, because this is being used for the staying of your employee concern, which is your business expenditure, debit side PL account, you will get the credit in Delhi registration. But what you will do with this ITC, there is no business in Delhi registration then. You can't do anything. So you need to move this credit from Delhi to Tamil Nadu. Take another registration, ISD, Input Service Distributor. Take ISD registration, then transfer this credit from Delhi to Tamil Nadu, right? So look at this option. It's really looking ease of business. No way. It is not. And having ISD registration only, maybe another question. Instead of regular registration, can I take ISD registration and pay RCM liability? I'm asking all of you. Instead of regular registration, can I take ISD registration and pay RCM liability? No, I can't. I can't. There's no mechanism available. So what government is intending, Bimal, take registration in Delhi, regular, and then move to ISD and then transfer this credit to Tamil Nadu. Just think what is the ease of business. I have made one video which is available on my YouTube channel. You may go to my YouTube channel and watch this video. I give an option two. Option two. What option I gave? Listen very carefully. What option I gave? I gave option because of the region. Because of the region, I may have taken this Delhi property, but there may be a case in 10 different states. I've taken residential property for staying of my employee, and I happen to be Tamil Nadu registered tenant. So I may have taken 10 property, one in Maharashtra, one in Gujarat, one in Delhi, and transaction is like landlord is of that state and property is also in that particular state, like Delhi example which I gave to you. Do I require to take 10 registration and 10 ISD registration? No. To me, it looks very complicated. Very complicated. Now, option two, which I suggested, that is there in my video, and I really requested official GST official and CBIC policy wing to look into the matter. They make one change, but they never look at the implication of that transaction. Just making one change will not work in India. What I suggested as option two, I suggested I will not take any registration in Delhi. I will not take any registration in Delhi. Can I pay IGST from my Tamil Nadu registration? Because location of supplier is Delhi, and I can't pay Delhi SGST. So can I pay IGST mentioning place of supply as Delhi? So Delhi will get SGST component on the basis of destination-based consumption tax. So Delhi must get the SGST component. So instead of CGST and Delhi SGST, I'm just changing the transaction. I want Tamil Nadu registered tenant pay IGST and mention place of supply as Delhi. So Delhi will get SGST component of IGST on destination-based consumption tax. This is the first proposition I suggested. That is doable one, possible one. But problem here is, if I pay IGST and mention place of supply as Delhi, will I get credit in my Tamil Nadu registration? Because place of supply is being mentioned as a Delhi state. Will I get credit? That is the problem coming out. Please tell me. Tell me in the chat box, is it available to me? It is showing, but it is ineligible. It is showing in my 2A or 2B, but ineligible. I will not get credit. So there is a really synergy required. Synergy is missing altogether. And there's no clarification. Maybe Tamil Nadu tenant lose out the credit component, but definitely he will not be looking for taking two registration in Delhi. One is the regular registration, another one is the ISD registration just to transfer this credit. So as per me, looks like IGST can be paid, place of supply mentioned as a daily state, but credit is going to create the problem. So that the business call we need to take. Please tell me, please tell me, you understood it, say yes and no. Please tell me in a chat box you understood it, what I said to all of you. Please tell me that you understood it. So for me, it's important that you are understanding. So maybe maximum are saying yes. Few of you are still not clear about it. I'm sorry if you are not getting that clarity, but there's someone asking whether we mention, and this question I'm posting to all of you. So Satya is giving that link where I posted my video. You can go to my YouTube channel and check this, particular video. Someone asked me in a chat box, sir, do we really mention place of supply in GSTR 3B? Please tell me. Someone is still 5 years of GST, but still he's asking this question to me. Do we mention place of supply in GSTR 3B? So he's asking from that context. Yes, we don't mention. We don't mention. We don't mention. But whenever you pay IGST, please try to understand that the concept of self-invoice. When we are taking from unregistered supplier, self-invoice. In that self-invoice, you will mention place of supply. You're trying to, create a transaction where you want to complicate it. Speech self-invoice, you will mention interstate, IGST, place of supply is Delhi. If tomorrow audit comes up, you will get catch hold. So you are trying to take this credit because POS need not require to be mentioned in GST or 3B. Maybe some of you are smarter. That's the reason this question they have posted. Okay, all right, but I given the answer to all of you. All right. Next one. Listen very carefully. Now I did this part as well, and there are two latest changes, which is very important for you to know. One is Tran 1 and Tran 2 credit, transitional credit. And we have seen in the past that transitional credit could not be availed for number of reasons, either technical glitches, or you have filed your Tran 1 and Tran 2, but you made the mistake and could not revise the same. Or there are certain category who have tried but could not file, and last category who did not give any try, and they did not try any Tran 1 and Tran 2 credit, transitional credit. Recent Supreme Court judgment in the case of Philco Trade Center Private Limited. And what is this Tran 1 transitional credit? The credit of pre-GST era can be transitioned into GST regime by way of filing Tran 1. And last date was 27 December 2017. And then we got lot many, dispute. I told you what are the disputes. Someone tried, could not file, someone filed, but wrongly filed, someone filed, could not revise, lot many factors. Honorable Supreme Court has given one judgment recently, Philco Trade Center Private Limited. And they have asked CBIC to open a special window from 1st September 2022 to 31st October 2022. This 60 days window need to be open for filing Tran 1 and Tran 2 by all the aggrieved person. I say aggrieved person means those who have filed but wrongly filed, those who have tried but could not file because of technical glitches, Those who have not given a try, to my mind, it is open to them as well. And CBIC going to open this window for 60 days from 1st September 2022 to 31st October 2022. And recently there's a news that government is approaching to the Supreme Court to extend this time period. They are not, their window, GST and common portal is not ready. So they want to extend it by further 30 days. So maybe they will open this window instead of 1st September on 1st October. But 60 days window would be available. So those who could not transition their credit, they are entitled to. Even though we know Delhi High Court judgment, brand equity or limitation for 3 years, time gone. We have seen Punjab and Haryana High Court judgment, Edward Technologies Limited, wherein it was held that transition credit is my vested credit, vested right in terms of Article 300 capital A. But this Supreme Court judgment is now giving window open to all for transition of credit. So you can get yourself prepared. If that credit is not transition, get yourself ready with all the documentation and take this credit by filing Tran 1. And this window going to be opened, you will get that news. And second latest change is e-invoicing provision. You know that e-invoicing provision is now made applicable for all registered person whose aggregate turnover is more than 10 crore with effect from 1st October 2022. Little background to all of you. E-invoicing provision started from October 2020 with 500 crore rupees limit, reduced to 100 crore from 1st January 2021, reduced to 50 crore from 1st April 2021, reduced to 20 crore from 1st April 2022. Now it is reduced to 10 crore from 1st October 2022. And what is the criteria? They are saying if your aggregate turnover means pan India, you may have 4 GST registration under same PAN number. Sum total of all the turnover under one PAN number, sum total of taxable supply, exempted supply, zero rated export, need to sum total of 4 registration under one PAN number. If aggregate turnover of registered person in any preceding financial year, starting from 17-18, is more than 10 crore, then he has to compulsorily generate e-invoice from 1st October 2022. Now, I would like to take some test. First test. Let's assume my turnover, aggregate turnover was less than 10 crore in 17-18, 18-19, 19-20, 20-21. My turnover was less than 10 crore. Just in current financial year, 22-23, from April to August, my turnover is 12 crore. 12 crore. Do I require to generate e-invoice from 1st October? Say yes and no. Not applicable. It need to be in any of the preceding financial year, starting from 17-18. Second question, whether this e-invoicing provision for services also? Yes, we understand for goods. Whether it is for services also, say yes and no in a chat box. For services also. For services also. Whether it is for, okay, some more test. For B2C supply, is it applicable for B2C supply? Please tell me yes and no. Not applicable. It is for B2B taxable supplies. Debit note, credit note pertaining to B2B taxable supplies and export. Am I clear to all of you? So for B2C, it is not applicable. And who all are the entities excluded? Government, department and PSU, SEZ unit but not developer, financial institution, insurance company, NBFC, GTA, passenger transportation services, and multiplexes cinema admission are excluded, even though their aggregate turnover is exceeding the limit. So they are excluded. And what all transactions are being kept out of this e-invoicing provision? B2C, exempted supply where you are raising bill of supply, or when you're taking advance for supply of services. So receipt voucher not applicable, refund voucher not applicable, payment voucher for RCM not applicable, self-invoice for RCM not applicable, ISD invoice not applicable. What is this e-invoicing? We have to furnish specified particulars in our tax invoice as per schema INV01. So my invoice must furnish specified particulars as per e-schema INV01. I can generate my invoice from any accounting and billing software, including Zoho. So maybe I will request Zoho to add their link, and that link would be available in this particular chat box. Maybe Harsini can post that particular link, how Zoho can help you to generate your e-invoice. So you can generate your tax invoice having specified particulars, and then converted into JSON file, and then it is transmitted to dedicated invoice registration portal, Now, what this invoice registration portal, which is government dedicated portal, will do? They will do deduplication check. And after checking and verification of all specified particulars, they will get this invoice digitally signed with QR code and assign unique invoice reference number. And then it will be given back to the supplier. And supplier then in turn convert into PDF file and send it to the recipient. This IRP again going to push the data to GST common portal for auto population of GSTR1 of the supplier. And this IRP going to push the data to eBay portal also for generation of eBay bill. So if you're filling up your part A and part B for eBay bill, then you can generate your eBay bill immediately. So that is the automation, real-time basis to done away tax evasion. That is what the e-invoicing provision is now made applicable. And to my mind, from 1st April 2023, we should be ready that this threshold would be 5 crore, reduced further from 10 crore to 5 crore. So get set ready for this generation of e-invoicing. Hope I'm clear to all of you. Please first tell me, am I clear to all of you? Please tell me that this part is clear. This part is clear. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. So I'm through with my today's deliberation. With today's deliberation on POS, importance of POS. Though we started, we always, within 1 hour, we try to give a lot of insight, lot of input. First of all, I want to ask one thing to all the participants. POS is a very detailed topic. It requires, for goods, requires session of 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, even for services. I've not touched import and export of goods or services. Today, I did not touch. But there are many things which we can discuss on import and export of goods or services as well. Maybe some of the queries definitely I will take up in question answer session, but I'm taking this opportunity to let you know that in today's era, lot many dispute and assessment, audit, inspection, search, seizure, and arrest. We are getting lot many things. So on 3rd of September, we are starting one live GST course, which you can attend. All the details are available on my Twitter account, my LinkedIn account, which you can go and check it out. But definitely, Zoho has taken this initiative to get me on board with all of you. And we all are trying to really learn from each other. And learning means I really walk the talk. We are trying to help each other in terms of making GST good and simple tax. We all are trying. So within the time frame, though it was 1 hour, I exceeded my time limit. I'm sure you have enjoyed today's session. Each one of you have enjoyed today's session. Can I say yes? You got all new input, new insight. You can always say in a chat box, and that is how I get motivated. That you all really enjoyed today, and I'm thankful to each one of you, including Joho, for organizing such webinar, and thanking Hasini also being moderator of today's session. Hasini, back to you for your question answer session.
Thank you so much for this wonderful session, Bimalji. I can see a lot of yes in the chat box, so I think that itself says that the session, everybody who attended the session enjoyed it really well. I'm sure you're all waiting to get your questions answered by Bimalji. So I am going to take a moment and let's take a few questions here in the questions tab, and we have Bimalji answer it for you. So. We have a question from Mr. I'm going to project it here on the screen.
Yeah.
Ayagari Venkat Saket is asking a question: how to identify directly in relation to an immovable property under section 12, subsection 3A?
Mr. Saket, it is quite obvious if it is immovable property, which you know whether it is commercial or residential, then place of supply would be location of immovable property. That is the thumb rule, and that is how you need to. I've given answer during my deliberation, but still repeating for the sake of your understanding, Mr. Saket. Thank you.
All right, so we have our next question from Ashokan P. And he
Yeah.
says, if the transporter in Mumbai provides GTA service from Mumbai factory, but bills to Bangalore HO, what transaction is it? Should we levy IGST or book it at Pune factory and pay CGST and SGST?
See, for transportation of goods, if it is B2B supply, then it is location of recipient. So if it is bill to Bangalore, then IGST is leviable.
Okay, Ashokan, I hope you got the answer. Let's move on to the next question. We have one from Mr. Sanjeev. Sanjeev is asking, what will be POS in case of outside state supply and outside India sale? If tool is sold but physically held with vendor only for further supply, will GST apply? Is his
Mr.
question.
Sajeev, this is the one of the most disputed question as on date in the market. These tools are being developed for the foreign customer, and I'm sure you are understanding this. And these tools are in turn then used for manufacturing of goods meant for export purpose. So question is coming, this tool are not going out of India, but it is meant for manufacturing goods, and thereafter these goods are being exported. So can be considered as export, or transaction would be liable to GST depending on the place of supply. In my considered view, these tools are meant only for the usage for manufacturing of goods at the behest of foreign customer. It is ultimately used for executing their transaction for the foreign customer. So to my mind, I will not levy GST. If at all I'm going to take aggressive steps, aggressive, count, that I will not levy. Ultimately, these tools are being used for the manufacturing, the pricing, costing, everything built in my overall pricing. And this pricing is towards export of service, export of goods, which I'm referring to. And that is how I make one point. Second point, if I'm developing a particular tool, question is it supply of goods or supply of services? So I'm developing a tool, may be considered that this particular thing, service is being done on behalf of my foreign client, and he has kept this tool at my premises in India. And then also I can say it is export of services. So a lot of argument exists, but this is the most debatable issue pan India. But as you know that once you want to take a call that this is towards meaning for your foreign customer, for the transaction to be executed on their behalf, you can treat as export. But in case you do not want to invite litigation, then the transaction, whether it is intra or inter, because ultimately it is going to invoice to the foreign customer, right? It remain within the factory where you have developed this particular tool. So question is whether intra or inter, right? So now if it is within the same state where factory exists, you can always say POS is the same state, CGST, and local state SGST, but ultimately invoice to the foreign customer. So it is meant for the foreign customer. So this is again the debatable transaction which we are discussing. From that perspective, I can say we have to discharge the liability. If you are taking a call that liability exists, to my mind, in that case, you can consider either way. But my view and opinion would be, in my humble submission, though it is debatable, it will be export. Sanjeev ji.
Sanjeev, I hope you got the answer. Next, we have Muhammad Abbas. I'm going to project at the type one filing value in shipping bill changes. What value should
See,
be filed
shipping
in
will is the
GSTR 1?
important document for claiming refund on your export. Try to match your shipping bill value with GSTR1. That is very important. Otherwise, mismatch will come, Mr. Muhammad Abbas. Am I clear? Muhammad Abbas, are you there? Can you say in a chat box that you got it? Okay.
All right. So we have one from Mr. Ashok Jha. Ashok is asking, okay, I think he deleted that question. All right. Let's take another question. We have Harinder Kumar. Harinder Kumar is asking, is GST payable on notice pay recovery received from an employee? Second is GST payable on canteen coupon recovery received from employees? If we make it part of
Harinder,
employment contract,
very
then
straightforward answer to you that no GST leviable. And recently, one circular is being issued. These are being considered in lieu of employment contract, and services by employee to the employer in the course of employment is a Schedule 3 transaction, neither a supply of goods nor supply of services. And that is being clarified by way of circular. So such recovery, to my mind, not chargeable to GST.
Harinder, I hope you got that answer. Next, we have one from Krunal. I am projecting it on the screen. He says, Sir, for B2C from Delhi, won't the section 10, subsection 1A, these wordings matter? That is, which states? Place of supply of such goods shall be the location of the goods at the time at which the movement of goods terminates
See,
from for
Kunal,
delivery
of
to the
course, this
recipient.
was the disputed point, and we were discussing for last 5 years. If this is the case, then in case of B2B transaction, it's an intrastate CGST and Delhi SGST. So where this movement terminates is the important one, right? So you can always say that movement is terminating when I'm handing over the goods, but that is not the case. In case of B2B supply, when I'm handing over the goods at my factory gate, it is then picked up by the recipient from Delhi to Tamil Nadu. So ultimately, movement is terminating in Tamil Nadu only. That's the reason I said interstate, IGST liable. Even in case of B2C, if you are an unregistered person from Tamil Nadu, I'm handing over at my shop at Delhi, but you will take these goods from Delhi to Tamil Nadu. So movement is terminating ultimately in Tamil Nadu. Only in case of counter sale and B2C sale, it is being said that if it is less than 50,000 taxable value, less than 50,000, no problem, inter do whatever you want to do. But more than 50,000, compulsorily being supplier, you need to capture name and address of the recipient, address for delivery, and state name and code. So to my mind, movement is really terminating at end location, not at the intermittent location which we are discussing and which you're asking. Kunal, hope I'm clear to you.
Next is we have one from Ashutosh. He says, Sir, what will be the POS in case where a NRI visits a jewelry shop in Punjab and buys some jewelry and asks them to mention the address of Australia on the invoice, whether it will be
When
an
address is being
intrastate or
mentioned as
interstate?
Australia, so what is export of goods? As per the definition, section 2, subsection 5 of IGST Act. Taking out goods from India to a place outside India. That is the definition of export of goods. If address is mentioned as the Australia, then it is export of goods, right? And there's a mechanism now made available. Asutosh, mechanism is now made available that any foreigner purchasing goods locally and then taking it out of India will be considered export, and whatever GST, if levied, going to be refunded back. Going to be refunded back. And this mechanism is now getting opened up. And the provision is now being prescribed very recently. So, to my mind, if you're mentioning an Australia as an address, but you don't know whether it is taken to Australia or not. Being supplier, I will suggest you levy tax and ask him to take refund from the custom authority sitting at the international airport that these are goods are being taken out of India on similar concept which you have seen in the foreign country. So being supplier, why you will take the risk whether it is really taken to Australia or not? There may be a case you have mentioned that Australia, but he is using these goods within India. So being supply, you levy the tax, let him take the refund if he's taking the goods out of India to Australia. That would be my answer. Asutosh, hope I'm clear to you.
Okay. We'll take the last question from Mr. Ashok Jha. Services provided to United Nations or specified international organizations is exempt from GST as per notification 12 of CGST. Just want to know if any registration fees paid to UN or
See,
UNFCCC
when
be
you
exempt
pay
or
certain
RCM.
fees to a body, and that is you have said the United Nations and UNFCCC, transaction is exempted, either forward charge or reverse charge. So when transaction per se is exempted, then it will not make difference for forward charge and reverse charge.
Ashok, I hope you got your answer. And yes, I think we are done with the session for today, and we have taken all the questions. Due to shortage of time, we were not able to take a lot of questions from you. But if you have any questions, Bimal Ji is always available on social media. He's very active on social media. You can always tweet or send him
Hasni, just
messages.
one thing. The
Yes,
one participant, Mr. Satya T,
yes.
he said, "Sir, congrats for being notified for best facilitator and intermediary for your GST contribution." So my request to each one of you, those who are
Uh,
participating now, that yes, it is real that I'm being nominated by Tax India Online (TIL) in one of the category facilitator and intermediary. Of course, I would be awarded as the best facilitator and intermediary with your support and vote. So I can put my request. I'm taking this opportunity that each one of you can really go to that particular link and really support and vote your vote. And you can also send to your colleagues and friends. See, ultimately, what I believe, it is not vote for Bimal Jain. It is vote for you. If you really feel that you're a part of Bimal Jain, part and parcel of Bimal Jain, you would like to see that you are awarded as a best facilitator and intermediary. I've done my part. I've done my part. I contributed to whatever best I could do from my side. And this link is available on my Twitter, on my YouTube as well. So you can always go and vote to Bimal Jain for voting yourself, and also request to your colleagues, friends, and to all your professional colleagues around you to vote and support to you as Bimal Jain. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody, and I hope you win that, Bimalji. Our best wishes are with you always, and thank you all for your lovely messages for Bimalji. And we are going to be back with another, webinar next month as well. So if you have registered for this webinar, make sure you're looking out for Zoho Books' Twitter handle and Bimalji's Twitter handle
Ashini, I
for
left
the
just one
upcoming
thing. I'm
webinar update.
interrupting
Yes,
you again
Bimalji.
and again. Just somebody asked
No
me,
problem.
Rohit has really posted a link that TIL awards in support. So that is the link you can capture for voting. That link is available, so you can really note down this particular link, and I really promise I will give my mobile number. I want to see the handmade note from each one of you. Yes, you can always send your handmade note, and definitely if I find your handmade note is very, very good, I'm sure that would be very, very good. Because I believe when you are following me, I will make you very, very good. That's what I carry the responsibility on my soldier. Take down my mobile number 98 106 04 563. Rohit, can you just write down in a chat box so that it is available to all my. So Ria has helped me out. Ria, thank you very much. 98 106 04 563. And I'm thanking Joho for taking this initiative, and really they are trying their best to make GST good and simple tax. Like for e-invoicing, which I said to you, you can go to Joho, platform. Their link is being provided, and maybe Harsini, what you can do, you can send your link and a tutorial on e-invoicing to all the participants who are registered today and those who are watching today, so that they can get familiar themselves with the e-invoicing process on Joho platform. That will help you.
Sure, Bimalji. I've put it in the chat for you to make a note of it, and we will definitely after in the post my mailer and also on our Twitter platform we will have this link shared with you all, and the recording of the video will also be of this webinar will also be shared on our social platform. So do watch out for that. So we are hoping to see you next month as well for Bimalji's session. And again, I cannot thank you enough for
Thank you.
another wonderful session, Bimalji. Thank you so much, and our best wishes for your nomination. And we also hope that you win. And we are
Harshini,
very optimistic you're
responsibility
going
on
to
you as
win.
well.
So
Your personal vote, and you have to send
yes,
this. You have to send this link to all Joho,
yes,
my colleagues, to everyone to vote and support. Thank you.
definitely, Bimalji. All right. Thank you,
Thank you.
everybody. Thank you for taking the time out. Thank you.